Hey Zaka family! Zaka is launching an exclusive membership platform to provide you with career development workshops, coaching, community, and so much more. Go to ZakaConnect.com and sign up to receive information on how to access early registration and perks. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herban, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you can get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is Sean Maingot, who is the co-owner of Body by Chosen. Sean, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. The pleasure to have you on the show. I know that we're gonna be talking about this journey, this little fitness journey that you got going on, and I really want to dive into that. But before we get a little bit more into what you do currently right now, could you just express to the listeners about your journey, where you're from, culture, your background, and where you grew up?
Well, I grew up in I was born in Scarborough, Ontario, Toronto. I grew up in like more of a suburb area of Pickering, just kind of east of Scarborough. My background, my mother is from St. Vincent, my dad is from Trinidad, so I have the island little background stuff. But yeah, just honestly, it's just been Toronto, the east side of Toronto, really.
Okay. Now, have you ever gone back to the Caribbean?
Yeah, I've been to Trinidad a couple times. I've been to St. Vincent a couple times as well, but I actually haven't been there in a very long time. I'm due for a return.
And I do know that the Toronto area does have a lot of that Caribbean, West Indian culture up there. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like from being different places, I feel like Toronto's definitely has one of the biggest multicultural like scenes, period. But we do have a lot of, like, for instance, I'm out here in America right now. It's so hard to find like a West Indian spot to get something to eat. And I'm like, I could find someone real fast.
So you want to say growing up in Toronto, you felt like you were very connected to your culture?
Yeah, 100%.
And could you talk a little bit more about that cultural background? Like, did you feel like it influenced your journey in your career path?
I'm not sure if it really influenced much of my journey, but like I guess my upbringing, of course, like anybody that knows like West Indian culture, you're raised to have manners, to be respectful, and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like that's helped me in my journey, especially dealing with people that aren't as respectful or aren't as, as kind. I feel like being raised in that strict household has helped me deal with a lot of people in a way that's helped me navigate in actually a positive manner.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of the guests that we had on the show that were Caribbean background, I know a lot of the Caribbean culture is very based on like, look, you're going to go to school, you're going to graduate, you're going to get a great job. How was that transition, or how was that conversation when you had to speak to your family members and let them know that you're going to be more moving into the fitness department, division, the fitness culture, the fitness industry? How was that conversation?
One thing with my dad, actually, my dad was always trying to do something entrepreneurial. Like he was really stuck onto his, although he did have other jobs, he always had a mindset where he wants to work for himself. He wanted to do this for himself. And so I think that's always been embedded into me. I didn't know exactly what I was going to go into. I didn't really have a conversation about going into this industry. I mean, I went to college for a little bit. I was really into basketball, and then I was actually planning on trying to go to basically overseas to play basketball, and that was kind of my goal until I had a little sickness. And once I got sick and I came back, I was like, I just need to kind of just get back into shape. And as I was getting back into shape, my business partner Dwayne was doing this fitness stuff, and then it kind of just happened like that. It wasn't more of a plan. It was kind of just it was a perfect timing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you say you were in college for a few, did you study anything within that field, or was it something that you just gravitated to because of the basketball and the sports?
To be honest, I tell everybody I went to school for basketball. I didn't really I didn't really go to class too much. I took a really general program, and then when I actually did get into something I kind of liked was actually social work. So I took maybe a semester off of doing that, and then school just wasn't. I just felt like school wasn't for me, and I kind of just went full throttle with the fitness thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, could you tell us a little bit about your childhood when you were growing up in Toronto, and how did it lead to being that fitness trainer? So you said you were in basketball. Was it something that you were in sports at a young age, and traveled over to when you got to like high school and college?
Yeah, 1,000%. I feel like I was always, for instance, like where I grew up, I was kind of like the youngest boy on kind of the block. So I was always playing sports and trying to be better than somebody else who was bigger than me. And so I always had that mentality. I need to go harder. I need to push more. And I feel like it just translated it into fitness. I played a lot of baseball when I was younger as well. I feel like I was a little better at baseball than I was at basketball. Actually, I just thought I was going to grow a little bit more, so I stuck with the basketball, but I just stuck with the baseball.
Oh, man.
But I feel like I remember there was a couple times when I was playing baseball, and there was certain instances where, like for instance, I would hit a ground ball to the first base side, but like my determination was like, I don't care where I hit the ball, I'm going to be safe. So I would like sprint out certain things, where it's like the average person would be like, okay, I'm going to be out regardless. But my mentality was always like, no, I can make this happen. And I feel like that's just translated into the fitness. And my mindset's always been that I can make this happen, figure it out.
I like that mindset. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a home run before I even get to the plate. Having that vision prior to you actually, manifesting that journey and manifesting your goals, and I think that's a very big thing. Now, what was the breakthrough to kind of get you into the fitness thing? I know you said your business partner had this thing going on, but like, how'd you know that this was it?
I know this was it. Honestly, it just all made sense. Like I was, again, like I just came off from not being too well. So when I did get back, it was like, okay, let me try this fitness thing. And then it was just, I seen how it was moving, and I was like, okay, I'm always like, I'm kind of a numbers guy. So I was like, okay, if I can do this, train this many people in this time and do this and do that, I'm like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And I kind of went from, okay, let me just focus on myself to build myself up. And then it became so many people want to be kind of a part of our team, a part of our brand. Okay, now like, okay, let's see if we can get people for them. And then from then it was like, okay, let's open a gym. And from there it was like, okay, let's open 2 gyms. And then from there it's like, okay, now let's see if we can make this a franchise. I feel like it's just been a step-by-step process where it was like, I mean, when I was initially thinking about it, I wasn't thinking about, okay, let's franchise this gym, let's move to LA and let's try to do it like this. I just every time was just a step forward. Step forward is like I just keep thinking bigger.
Now, are these gyms located in Toronto?
Yeah, so we have one gym in Toronto, downtown Toronto, King Street, and then we have one gym in Mississauga. So it's a little west of the city.
Okay, but it's all in Canada.
Yeah, it's in Canada right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations on that. That's pretty big right there, And how big is the facilities?
We tell everyone to keep our facility. Well, when we do franchise, we tell everybody to keep their facility around 2,000 square feet. We have the Mississauga one's about 3,000, and the downtown one is about 2,200 square feet.
And how was like the diversity within those clubs or your gyms?
The diversity, honestly, we do have a lot of trainers from different backgrounds, and I think that helps us with the diversity. I know when we first started, like it was more of just one type of person inside the gym, but now since we've branded a little bit better and tried to get different nationalities and cultures into the gym, it's pretty multicultural looks inside there. It's predominantly women inside the gyms though, because we do more personal training in classes, and men choose not to gravitate towards personal training in classes as much as females do, but that's just how it is.
Well, congratulations on that. I was going to ask you that. What personal experience have shaped the way you approach your career as an entrepreneur, or even in your personal mission?
Personal experience. I would say maybe just maybe watching my mom grow up, and just seeing how like you don't know how she makes $10 out of 2 pennies. Like I feel like that's just,
that's that Caribbean way, a dollar is going to be 4 quarters, or it's going to be 100 pennies.
Yeah, it's crazy how she's made things happen out of like nothing, and I feel like that's always kind of just embedded into my brain. It's like where there's kind of a will, there's a way. Obviously, with the West Indian culture, like there's very heavy with the beliefs of Jesus and all that kind of stuff, and believing where if you actually have faith in certain things that they will manifest. And I feel like that really played a big part as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, you started off as a fitness trainer, is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So as a fitness trainer, how did you make that transition from a fitness trainer to being an entrepreneur?
I feel like when you are a fitness trainer and you don't work for an actual like gym, you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Like you just have no choice. Like I haven't worked in other jobs, so it's like if I don't take this serious, if I'm not putting 110% into this business and into my clients, then I'm not going to eat. And obviously, you have to eat.
And do you feel like your athletic background has kind of influenced some of that train of thought when you're actually out there?
Yeah, 1,000%. I feel like anything you do in life, I feel like you should use all your past experiences, good or bad, to kind of help you navigate through things. I feel like obviously like with have a basketball background and playing sports and track and all that kind of stuff, you learn certain things that obviously can translate into helping other people learn how to, either whether it be stretches or just little small things that you pick up along the way.
So now you're talking about goods and bads. Now having a facility, I know that obviously they always say the customer's always right. I know there's a lot of ups and downs. Could you talk about some experience that you had at the gym where you had to kind of step in and utilize those leadership skills that you do have, and also being an entrepreneur?
Again, like even with what you said, like customers always right thing. It's really tough, especially when you have employees that do work for you, because at the end of the day, you wanna show them that you do appreciate them and respect them and value what they bring to the table. But then at the end of the day, it's like customer kind of quote unquote is always right. So I mean, we've had certain instances where like clients and trainers had disagreements and may have had little arguments and little tiffs inside the gym or whatnot. But it just at the end of the day, it's business, and people have to realize that business and your feelings, sometimes you have to detach them, because if you don't, then you're going to end up messing up the business, and that's definitely a no-no.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you, as an entrepreneur, how do you separate that for you personally? I know that's a very big thing. When you're running your own business, you try to run it close to like a tight knit family, especially when you have a smaller location, that's manageable. You're trying to run it like a tight ship, but then you got to step in at times and be like, look, guys, this is not what we need to be doing. Or, you obviously have to address certain clients and their behaviors and stuff. So how do you manage that?
1,000%. And I think the one thing about being an entrepreneur and like owning your own business, you need to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. I know, for instance, for myself, I'm not good when it comes to like serious conflict. I'm either 110 in, or I try to stay all the way out of it. And I have other people kind of deal with those things that are better with talking, communicating the way that it needs to be done. Like I feel like if you try to do too much and things that you're not really the greatest at, excel at, you can end up doing more harm than good. Mm-hmm. So we do have other people that like kind of HR that kind of deal with more of that stuff, that are kind of better at conflict resolution stuff.
Mm-hmm. So having a team is very important. How important is it to have a diverse team?
I think it's the most important thing, period. Again, like myself and my business partner, we're a lot alike. So we deal with things a lot alike. So it's good that we have some people on the team that kind of have a different point of view, because at the end of the day, we're not going to be right all the time. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to be wrong all the time, but it's good to have people that you trust there, that you can kind of piggyback off and you can trust their opinion on exactly how you should move. And at the end of the day, obviously it's going to be our decision, but it's good to have people around that aren't afraid to tell you when you're right or where you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you build diversity with an establishment? You are starting off ground level. You're on the ground level. How do you pick and choose, individuals that, have somewhat of the same vision, morals of you, but then also someone look like you, but don't look like you, speak different languages, different cultures? How do you build that?
I think that's honestly a really, really tough question. We've gone through so many different people that we thought were great for the business and didn't end up being so great. Some people that we thought weren't going to be so great and ended up being great. So I think, honestly, I think it's just giving people a chance, not being afraid to give people a chance, and kind of just trusting that eventually the right ones and the right people are going to come around. You never really know. You never really know somebody until you've gone through some type of adversity with them, anyways, right? So
yeah, that's
people
true.
People could say the right things all the time, but when stuff hits the fan, it's like, okay, where was this attitude that you had before? Now it's the whole thing's different. So honestly, I think it's honestly, as bad as it seems, it's like almost like a trial and error thing. I mean, you can judge people off energies and stuff like that, which I try to do as much as I can. But at the end of the day, people do change, right?
That's true. That is true. If they want to, it takes some time. It takes some practice. It takes a lot of great energy and people, a community that's going to help with that. But yeah, you are right about that. Now, I know fitness is, and a lot of people will agree to this, fitness is a lifestyle. Like, how could you, where did you find a way to create like this strong passion for it? Like, how do you keep it turned on? Like, a lot of people, they have to have the discipline and that consistency. Like, how do you make that become a lifestyle?
I feel like everybody has kind of their thing that they enjoy doing, or they like doing, or they don't mind doing. And for me, again, I go back to like basketball. When I was younger, I used to play basketball every single day. Like, I would wake up, go play basketball, come home from school, play basketball. And I feel like where a lot of people mess up in their journey of life, not even just fitness journey, but just, I guess you could say fitness journey, is they don't fill kind of that void, and like they just fill that with foolishness. And then it becomes, okay, I'm just gonna go and play video games all day. Okay, but your fitness is falling behind, and then before you know it, it's gone through the shits, right? So it's like, I feel like you keep it turned on and keep the passion going by always setting new goals for yourself. It's easy to get unmotivated, but you need to have discipline, and I think that's the main thing when it comes to fitness, is the discipline. When it comes to it, you have to always like be striving towards something, whether it's, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds for the next 2 months, I want to get bigger arms this month, I want to do this. You always have to have a goal. I feel like whenever you have something you're looking forward to, it helps you stay on track, opposed to when you're just going through the motions.
That is true. That is true. Now, when it comes to fitness, like, how do you contribute to like how does fitness contribute to someone's mindset?
I feel like the fitness mindset, honestly, is just, it goes hand in hand with life. Like, when it comes to like consistency, especially, like, in order to get any goals, maintain your fitness, you have to be consistent. Same thing with life. Like, if you want a promotion at your job, if you want to be the best cook, it doesn't matter what you want to do. You have to be consistent. And if you're not consistent, then you're going to fall short of what your goals are or what you're trying to accomplish. I feel like that just shows how fitness really goes hand in hand with just life. I know I've seen, I remember I read something. It was saying basically that people that are hiring for jobs, they look for people that are more in shape, because it shows that they can show discipline.
That's it's funny you mentioned that. I remember growing up, and when I got into corporate America, when I was working in corporate America, one of the biggest things that we did talk about a lot of times in our meetings were about like who are we hiring? And I recall that a lot of the candidates that we were hiring, they had mentioned to me, like the HR department said that we typically lean towards the athletes.
Yeah.
Anyone that has an athletic background, because it shows consistency, and it is dependent on obviously where they went to school and the type of training they were doing. But someone who's been playing football their whole life, it shows their loyalty towards something. That's like, and I feel like a lot of, individuals that connect in an athletic way, it does help a lot when it comes down to like opening your own business, being an entrepreneur, or even just, pursuing your dreams in corporate America, so I feel like those athletic mindset that we develop at a young age do transfer over to us opening businesses and doing what we need to do. Now, you've went from personal training, you open up with your business partner, Dwayne, these gyms. You have two of them located right now, but could you tell us a little bit more about the company, Body by Chosen, and like what's like the beliefs behind it?
So our company, although we do have the gyms and all that kind of stuff, our main focus was always from the beginning was a lot of our community work. So we used to go to a lot of schools and do classes at the schools. We used to do like little talks, and we used to go to like events around the city, especially when they had like certain like tragic events happen. We'd go set up like our bars where we'd go do pull-ups and talk to the kids about being entrepreneur or about fitness or any kind of questions and stuff like that. So the thing with Body by Chosen is that we're a gym, but we're community first. Right? That's the thing about our gym that we've always preached, is that we're like team chosen. We've always preached team chosen family, and we try to treat everyone that comes into our gym as if they were family, or as if they're like a distant cousin, or you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. That's the thing about our gym and the culture that we've built around our gym.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's a very hard thing to do. It takes a lot of trial and error, but it seems that you guys definitely have somewhat of a great understanding of that and a good balance. And could you talk a little bit more about that balance within that gym?
Oh, I think so what we try to do, again, we do try to keep it more of a community feel. So for instance, on Saturdays, we have a free kids class every Saturday at 12, where clients can come in and bring their kids for a workout, or they could just sit back, relax, and just have an hour off to themselves. We try to have community days where people will come in, game nights where people will come in, play games or whatnot. And then we just try to keep that community feel going and just build off that. When energy is such an important thing. When energy is high, business is high, everybody's smiling and laughing, and then it just builds for just a better atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you keep clients motivated? Because we talked about it being a mindset. Like, you have several different clients coming in every single day. And obviously, you, as a personal trainer, then you became the entrepreneur, you became the boss, the supervisor. How do you even train like your trainers now to keep your clients motivated and maintain their fitness journey?
I think the main thing with what I said earlier, is that you have to always have goals for your clients and keep them a part of the process. You don't want to keep them in the dark of either what you're trying to do or what you're trying to maintain. And again, like, the clients need to also be engaged and figure out exactly what they're trying to do. Before we have clients, we speak to them and talk to them about the journey that's going to happen, and that it's going to take some discipline. It's going to take some sacrifice. But if you're willing to give 100%, we'll give you 110%. And I just feel like all of our trainers and all of our people that are in the gym, they care so much about our clients that they almost put ourselves on the back burner sometimes, which is really rare when it comes to the fitness industry. The fitness industry, like, especially the last couple of years, I'm not sure if you pay attention to it, but a lot of people, I think a lot of trainers, a lot of gyms, a lot of things, they care more about themselves than their clients, and it kind of shows. I think that's another difference between like our gym and what we try to preach towards our trainers and our community.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Body by Chosen brand is known across Toronto, right? You have 2 locations there, and now scaling to parts of the U.S., right? That's something that, was expressed. How did a small team develop into now looking to open up more than one location?
The thing with Toronto is that a lot of times you have to go somewhere else first and then come back, and then people kind of give you the respect that you deserve. So like when we were a long time ago, actually, we went to New York, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with like the calisthenics movement, But so it's a lot of like park workouts and all that kind of stuff. So we actually went down there. I think it was 2011. I think it was a long time ago. We went down there and we built relationships with a bunch of bar groups inside of New York City, which is kind of like the mecca of the North America for the bar stuff. So bartenders and beast mode and all these type of fitness groups. So we went there and we kind of built relationships with them. And then we've always been building relationships with people all around the States from Miami to LA. And we've been doing that honestly for a very long time. Last year we did a kind of like a little chosen tour where we went to Virginia, we went to Miami again, we went to Atlanta, and we did like classes in all these places. So it's like we've always been trying to establish relationships and establish that at least a presence inside of America, because once you do that, everyone in Toronto, then they kind of hop on a little bit more.
And how do you feel about something like that? Like you have to go somewhere else, like being in your hometown, you got to go somewhere else in order to kind of see some type of, accomplishments come from it, to then come back home and have people be like, oh, I didn't even know you were here, but I want to come now and support. Or I honestly, knew you were here. Now I want to support even more because now you were in America, you work with this client. How do you deal with that?
Honestly, at first it bothered me a little bit, but I figured like it just honestly it is what it is. People didn't pay attention to Drake till he did a song with Trey Songz. Like it's just the mentality that they have here, and it's like we're always. Unfortunately, I mean, I love Toronto, don't get me wrong, but Toronto's always like 10 steps behind of America. So it's just the way it is. So, I mean, we can get mad about it, we can throw a fit, but it's like, it's just how it is. Sometimes we have people from America come down and teach a class, and then they have made 20, 30 people inside the class that have never been to the gym before. And it's like, how are you guys coming for the American? You know what I'm saying? Coming from now because this guy's down here, but you guys never been. But honestly, it's just the reality of how the fitness game goes and how Toronto is. So it's like either you can get mad about it, but at the end of the day, you just got to figure it out because use it to your advantage.
And that's good that you guys are finding ways of kind of working with that. Like it's a great thing when an entrepreneur knows like the advantages and the disadvantages of like scaling their business. And sometimes you got to be like, you can't, deny the obvious.
Yeah.
That's what the culture, and it's all about the culture. Obviously you have a certain culture inside of your gym, but we always need to acknowledge the culture that's exposed to then come to the gym. And sometimes it is that Instagram post, sometimes it's that advertisement, sometimes it's like, oh, he worked with this individual. And then all of a sudden it's like, it makes so much more sense to them versus them just saying, look, I just want to be on my fitness journey. And I know that these guys are about that life. Let me just pull up. It's like they need some type of other forms of accreditation in order to be like, this is where it's at.
That's the thing. It's like again, when it comes to the fitness industry, like everyone has like their own little network. So even though people might be in Toronto, they might not be part of our network. And that's just the reality of it. Like, I mean, sometimes I'll be around people like, well, I didn't even know about Body by Chosen. And honestly, it makes me upset because they haven't heard about it, but it's like, okay, then I just got to do more. So the networking aspect of dealing with people from America or the UK or wherever it may be is just how business works. You just have to be able to understand that not everyone is going to be a part of the network that you're in. So you got to tap into different networks. And when you do tap into different networks, then you might get a one person, and that one person turns to three people turn into five people, and you have a whole nother little demographic coming into the gym.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, you talked to me a little bit earlier about the whole franchising thing. I think that's a very big thing as an entrepreneur. Like when you reach a level where you're able to franchise your vision, your movement, and have other people buy into it. Like, could you talk a little bit more to the listeners that are, on the up and coming stage? Like, what does that process look like? And what is the goal of the gym by doing it?
The process is a lot more than we thought it would be. It's a lot of lawyer stuff. Definitely a lot of lawyer stuff. It makes you dial back a little bit and make sure you have all of your business stuff in line. Because again, when we were coming up with our business plan and all that kind of stuff back before, we weren't professionals in doing what we were doing. We were just kind of not going through the motions, but taking it step by step and learning as we go. And when you do get technical with the franchise stuff, and because again, it is your baby, you want it to be ran the way you want it to be run, without missteps. So you have to be really diligent, and it has to be piece by piece, and like it's not even like very very precise things of how you want things to be ran, because you don't want your name to be tarnished.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's obviously a very scary thing as well. You know, you're handing the keys over to somebody else.
Yeah.
And you're allowing them to somewhat put in their own visions a little bit and to adapt their own principles and practices. Granted, there is a rubric, there's like a standard that you guys provide, but how much freedom do you give to someone who's going to be buying into a franchise?
See, and that's things we're still trying to iron out. It's like we have the blueprint, we know what works. So sometimes we have meetings, because we've had several meetings with people that are thinking about franchising, and kind of listen to their ideas and how they want to move. And again, we're very open to people putting their own twist on things, but as long as the core values of what we stand for are still there, then that's what means the most to us. Like for instance, like our free kids class every 12, like that's a mandatory thing that has to be done in every single franchise we have. And because we want that community feel to always be the core of what Body by Chosen is. We don't want it to be one of those gyms where it's just, rah, like I have abs and, I'm like, all that stuff is cool, don't get me wrong, but it's like that only goes so far. You know what I mean?
And that's not everyday life. Not everybody's going to have a body like that.
Exactly.
That's one of the things I like about, gyms that appreciate and expose that type of individual, to kind of, putting on like, hey, look, not everybody's going to have six pack and an 8-pack. Some people are going to be a little bit heavier. Some people are going to be in the gym with stretch marks. Some people are going to be coming back from having a baby. Who knows what the situations are, but highlighting those individuals in the gym. I recall being in, when I was traveling, being in some type of establishment where it was fitness based, and the advertisements up were of women that were pregnant. It was individuals that might have been handicapped in some capacity, right? And I was like, wow, this is different. You normally walk into a gym and they want to highlight the person with the best body. Yeah. But they were highlighting people that were just on a fitness journey. And I think that was what I truly understood about that establishment. They were like, look, anyone and everyone could be on a fitness journey. You don't have to be here, there, or this is not the good side and this is not the bad side. You just need to be on one. And everyone that's been highlighted. Maybe they were members of the gym. I don't know, but it was really an eye opener to see something like that.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with that 1,000%. I mean, there was at one point where we got a lot of we've gone through a lot of stages, and one time where we went through a lot of flack where it was like people felt like we were posting too many on our social medias. It was just girls that were in shape, and they were like, oh, and then we kind of got like a stigma of that. That's the only type of person that we train. But it was more of that's the only type of person that people pay attention to. So a lot of times people will try to put you in a box because of what their insecurities are, even though you try to highlight other things. But then you have to tap that into your conscience, be like, okay, listen, if people do think this, then it's our job to prove them differently, because we don't want to be an establishment where it's like, oh, they only cater to this type of person. Like that was never our goal. Unfortunately, we came into a time where people thought that, but then again, we had to manage our way out of that. We had to change kind of things that we're doing, things that we were posting, and kind of listen to what people were saying.
Now, as a personal trainer, I know that's something that I want to definitely touch base on. I know that you guys, do a lot of, work out of various different areas, whether it be in Toronto, the New York area, or even out in Los Angeles, right? I know you guys are training various different individuals in the entertainment space. Like, what has been a big inspiration behind doing that?
I think it's just the inspiration of growth, and just trying to be bigger always. I feel like myself and my business partner Dwayne, we've always had a mentality where it's like we feel like we can always do more. And I think when it comes to like people in entertainment business or people not in our city that like want us to train them, I feel like they see the kind of the grind and they resonate with it. They understand like they've come from a place that they were at, and we've kind of grown with a lot of people as well. So we would deal with people when they were at a lower scale, and as they grew and we're growing, it just makes sense for us to continue to build together. And I think that's what helped us. And then obviously networking, when you're around certain people, you network and you meet this person, you meet that person, and it kind of just keeps going from there. And it's like, why would you want to handicap yourself? Why would you want to stop, put a ceiling on what you can do? I feel like you keep pushing until you keep pushing even more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it definitely shows from like your athletic background and how you said like you always wanted more for yourself. And then also I think when you talked about your father as well too, like he's always had that mindset to being like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And whether he had an intense or a background in educational background in business or so, he always had that like hunger inside. And I think that has applied to your business, your morals, your practice, being a personal trainer to then being teaming up with your business partner, opening a business, then opening it to be a franchise. Like you keep on like going into the next door. It doesn't seem like and I know that you're very humble from the conversation that we're having, but it sounds like you definitely, that there's a lot more in you. And some people just don't even know that that's even there in them personally. They think that what they have on the table for themselves is what it is. But then, when you really dig deeper and you really look into your passion and you really look into like your true purpose in life, you're like, no, it is fitness. Whether I was going to be on a basketball court playing across seas, or whether I was going to be playing baseball in the major leagues, fitness is you were born with like a fitness diploma, if that was the case. And now look at you now, just like constantly doing it. What advice, would you give up for, up and coming entrepreneurs, in the fitness industry?
I would say first, again, it depends on what they're trying to do. If they're trying to just like be the best for themselves, then I mean you can go and showcase yourself and do everything on your own. But I feel like if you're actually I feel like anybody that's trying to do something that's actually like big and bigger than themselves, you need a team. Like you need somebody to work with. You need to find someone that's like-minded. You don't have to have the exact same goals, but you need to be like-minded and surround yourself around people like that. It's so easy to just honestly to get off track and miss a week and like miss 3 days, but you really can't especially in this industry. If you pay attention to like Instagram and Twitter and all this kind of stuff, every day there's somebody else coming out trying to do something else. But again, I feel like you just have to stay on your path and not pay attention too much to people are doing, but you have to still keep them in your radar, because at the end of the day, everything is always evolving and always changing when it comes to fitness industry. It's been changes all the time. And one thing I would tell people is honestly, don't be afraid to almost go against the grain sometimes. Like a lot of times people will either go to university or college for fitness, and then they're kind of so narrow-minded. They don't see this going on over here. Like you'll see a lot of people like, oh, fitness has changed so much and this and that. Like, yeah, it has changed and it's going to continue to change. If you don't change with it, you're going to get left behind. So it's either you got to figure it out how to stay on path with keeping their same basic principles and morals, but still incorporating some other things that might come along as well. Or else again, you'll be left behind. With how the internet works and how fitness works, everything changes all the time. And if you're not willing to adapt and willing to a change, then you're not gonna succeed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, Sean, man, I think honestly, man, you guys got it over there in Toronto and obviously in other places as well. You definitely have a great way of marketing your business and understanding what the clients, the consumer needs. And I feel like that's why you're constantly evolving and growing your business. And that's why you're able to, to put it into moving into that franchise department, because you know what the consumer needs. And now other people are seeing how valuable you are to your community, and they're like, look, I want to do the same thing too. So you've created and obviously helped out several people, start their fitness journey and still continue their fitness journey. So kudos to you, your business partner, Dwayne. Congratulations on all the success. I just want to say thank you for just sharing your time, your knowledge, your information with us. And then, talking about like that, your history of growing up, the culture, your family, your background, it really was definitely very inspirational to hear those words tonight.
Thank you. I honestly appreciate you having me on, and like I'm willing to do this all the time. Like I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, to the listeners, I just want to let you know, if you want to hear more stories like Sean, check us out on ZakaConnect.com or follow our feed, Zaka, wherever you listen to your podcast. Again, Sean, thank you again for joining us on the show.